Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. Well, Tuesday night for me, but Wednesday morning for you, and we'll see if this video actually can make it through the algorithm tonight and be approved for release in the morning. Unlike yesterday, which took forever, so it's the second video. So, all right, so I want to get your brain active here again today. I want to kind of think about something. So, we're seeing throughout some places in the world, I mean, Australia, Britain, Russia, parts of Europe and stuff like that, even Canada, some of these lockdowns are still in place. To give you the point, China came out on Tuesday and said that they are going to continue their border lockdown for another year because of CV. All right, now, I'm going to put this one out there. Could it be possible? I mean, and again, we all have our thoughts on the scamdemic, plandemic, whatever you want to call it, okay? Could it be possible that COVID was actually a test run? And I'm not talking about for another pandemic. I'm talking about for another lockdown. And this being a climate lockdown. All right. Now, there's been many stories that have been written over the years, over the last year, let's put it this way, ever since lockdowns became en vogue. And, how many times have we all heard the greatest threat to the United States is climate change, by every one of the mental midgets who couldn't point out China on a map. But think about this. What if, and we're seeing some of this kind of slipped in. This is kind of why I say this. What if the ultimate goal is to lock us down because they want to protect the climate? Think about this. AOC and her cow farts, okay? Beyond Meat, Impossible Meat, Bill Gates and his bug burgers, whatever it is, okay? All this stuff has come out Impossible Meat and Beyond Meat's a couple of years old, but, they had to get that tested, at least in the vernacular of the public before doing it. But at the same time, don't you notice how beef prices are all of a sudden ridiculous? I mean, we've all talked about $20 a pound for, ribeyes or whatever it would be. How ridiculously expensive beef has gotten. Well, what's the easiest way to get people to stop buying something or stop using something? Make it, prohibitively expensive. Why doesn't everybody drive a Mercedes? Because they're very expensive. Why doesn't everybody live in a mansion? Well, because unless you're a millennial, because they're prohibitively expensive, and most of us don't want a mortgage that's more than 5 times a house that's 5 times or more than 5 times what you make. So if they make beef so expensive, nobody buys it. So again, this comes into, we didn't tell you that you couldn't eat beef. You decided on your own that you couldn't. We're giving you an alternative. Here, these cockroach burgers are, only 79 cents a pound. You're buying them. You can still go buy your ground beef for $9.99 a pound if you want. We're not taking it away from you. That's how they're doing this, okay? You look at all the deals on alternative energy, okay? The war on coal, which has been going on forever, Biden shutting down the Keystone Pipeline, so we can't do that. I mean, they're going after fracking, any sort of, fossil fuel or, something that we're taking from the earth, okay, a carbon-based fuel. They're trying to make prohibitively expensive, okay, or just make it outright illegal. We've talked about this. Gas prices are up $1 a gallon, or about 30%, or about 50%, I'm sorry, since Potato Joe has taken office. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to wean you off of gasoline, get you to drive less. Hey, we're going to make more electric vehicles. The car companies are making less petroleum-based vehicles and making more electric vehicles, even though the majority of the public doesn't want the electric vehicles. If it's the only choice you have, it's like, okay, Mr. Jones, you need that new pickup truck. Here's your electric F-150 or your bicycle, because those are the two means of transportation that you're going to have. All right. So they're not necessarily making it illegal or anything like that. They're just making it so we can't get it or it's prohibitively expensive. What happens when the gas stations in your town rip out the gas pumps and put in, electric vehicle charging stations or whatever it is? And of course, then there's a line that's going to be 3 blocks long because, it takes more than 10 minutes to charge your electric vehicle. So it's like, oh, you pull into the gas station, you plug in your car, you go inside, you have dinner with the missus, you come outside and congratulations, Mr. Jones, you've been in there for an hour and a half, you have a half a tank of battery. Now you can pull out, the next person can pull in. So, you're going to have to make an appointment at the station to get your electricity, if you can't do it at home or whatever it would be. Because imagine if you're on the road. I want to drive to my daughter's, house or whatever in Indiana. I might have to stop somewhere and get electricity. So this is kind of what they're doing to us, guys. I'm wondering if these lockdowns are... the COVID lockdowns were a practice for, we're going to do climate lockdown. That way people won't leave their house. And so we won't need to raise cattle. We won't have to have the stores open. But gee, people are going to need groceries or people are going to need new clothes. But that's what Amazon's for. And that's what DoorDash is for. And, every other one of these delivery services. This is this where they're leading us to? Okay. You get all these environmentalists and everything, going, the disease of the not the century, what is it, millennia, this is what's going on. And they just come out, they're going, climate change is going to exacerbate the social problems, the economic problems, because, God knows if we have, gas-driven vehicles and people eating steaks, that's going to make people crazy. This is literally the stuff that you have people talking about, okay? But, don't forget, China pollutes more than the rest of the countries in the world combined, okay? But they get a pass on any of the climate change regulations that all the Paris Accord and everybody wants to put into play. So, again, this goes back to what I keep saying about self-sufficiency, grow your food, do whatever, get your water, make sure your house is paid. Because I've said many, many times, what would you do if you were not allowed to leave your property? And if I'm right, this is what's coming next, is we're going to have climate lockdowns where you are not going to be able to leave. Maybe it's not your property. Maybe you aren't allowed to go within a 1 mile square radius of your house or whatever it is. Okay. Now, for me, that would cause me a hell of a lot of problems because the nearest anything, okay, the nearest gas station, let's see, there's a little convenience store that's 8 miles away from me. The nearest gas station is 10 miles away from me. The nearest grocery store is more than 20 miles away from me. So they're not going to come up and say, gee, Mr. Pinball, you have a concentric circle. You can go anywhere within 25 miles of your house. I live within 25 miles of my house. I pretty much don't go out. Rarely do I go outside that, okay? So they're certainly not going to go, they'll bring it down to a mile or something like that. And at that point, great, I can go see my neighbors. That's about it, okay? So, prepare for this one, guys. This could be next because with the pandemic, they can say, well, when we have 60%, 70%, 80% of the population inoculated, then we'll have herd immunity. How are they going to define climate change lockdowns? Gee, when we've reduced the pollution in the world by 60%, 70%, 80%, that ain't happening, guys, ever. Okay? I'm sorry, as long as China's allowed to continue doing what they're doing, that's right there. That's more than 50% of the pollution in the world. Okay, if we had absolute zero pollution in the United States, China still does enough where we never get out of that lockdown. Imagine that scenario, because that's what's coming. Have a good one. Pinball out.